Hi, this is Hank Kim, Executive Director and Counsel for the National Conference on Public Employee Retirement Systems. This is the video blog for the week of May 19th. As we get closer to Memorial Day, I wanted to spend a few minutes examining where we are in terms of the legislative process in a number of states and essentially give a mid-year report. On the defensive side, at the beginning of the year, we were concerned that a number of states would move forth with legislation to close or significantly modify their state pension plans. A lot of those concerns were realized as states once again introduced, quote, reform measures. But at this point, I'm pleased to report that we've once again dodged a bullet in a number of states. Particularly, a state to highlight is Florida, where, again, the stars were very much aligned to undermine the state's retirement system, but through the efforts of our state partners and the unions, and the coordination by the National Public Pension Coalition, we were able to defeat a measure by the Speaker of the Florida House. And while there are still legislatures ongoing and still threats, in particular Oklahoma has a threat that is very much alive at this point. A number of state legislatures have closed or are on the way of closing. So I think at this point in time, on the defensive side, I think we're doing fairly well in terms of preserving the defined benefit plans for public employees. On the offensive side, we have additionally more good news. As of this period, 4 states, Connecticut, Maryland, Minnesota, and Vermont, have either enacted or through executive order have implemented a study commission to look at a state-based retirement savings program for the private sector. We've been very active in a number of the 4 states that we just mentioned. Particularly in Maryland, Vermont, and Minnesota. And we're very pleased that 4 additional states are seriously looking at a state-based solution for the retirement insecurity in the private sector. As we all know, NCPERS started or entered this conversation back in 2011, and these 4 states have now joined Massachusetts, California, and Oregon to bring the total to 7 states currently that have enacted legislation to formally look at or actually establish a state-based plan for the private sector. In addition to these 7 states, in 2014, about 10 other states have had legislation that moved through the legislative process to either study or enact a state-based plan. But unfortunately, these 10 states did not actually produce a fruitful outcome through the legislative process. But we are, as always, ever hopeful and ever vigilant, and we will be keeping our eyes and ears on both the defensive side, preserving the DB plan for public sectors, and on the more positive side of expanding retirement security in the private sector for the balance of 2014. So thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.